Hi, welcome to Jeweliyana's Kitchen. Cooking doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be a big production or cost a lot of money to have it taste delicious. And today I'm going to show you how we can make a really fast, easy, mom on the run kind of dinner. It's cottage cheese pie. In my family, we used to have this for dinner. I see a lot of people eat it for breakfast. You can eat it when you want to, but I always made it for dinner. And then we also made roasted potatoes or roasted vegetables to go with it, just so that you could have, it takes 15 minutes to make and it's in the oven. You can go pick up the kids from the pool or the rink or whatever your busy life is taking you to. And by the time you're home, dinner is ready. So let's get cooking. I'll show you how easy it is. And if you are someone who's doing the keto thing, you can ketofy this by skipping the roasted vegetables and doing roasted cauliflower. Same coating, same ingredients. Just change the potatoes for cauliflower. But everything else is very high protein, nutritious, and vegetarian. So let's go. So this is all you need to make this easy dinner. And I don't even actually measure a whole lot of ingredients, but I will put the recipe down in the description below. There'll be a link to the recipe. You just want to start with one of those 750 gram, or it's about 4 cups if you're in the States. It's the bigger size of the cottage cheese. And you need 5 eggs, and you need some cheese that we're going to grate, but just, you don't need to be watching me grate cheese. So I'm just showing you all the ingredients so you've got them. And that's probably about a cup of cheese, cheddar cheese grated. If you're into dimensions, it's about 1 1/4 by 2 cubes, about 1-inch cubes of cheddar cheese. And then you also need an onion. You can either use just a regular onion or a couple of green onions. So today I'm going to use 3 green onions instead of the regular onion, but you can sub them out or mix it up. You can even throw in all kinds of extra goodies if you want. So for example, extra goodies, I'm gonna add some spinach. I don't know, 2-3 handfuls, maybe 2 cups if you wanna get particular about it. You can also add bits of broccoli and pepper and mushrooms if you want to. Anyway, let's get started, okay? So, into the bowl. First thing you wanna do, actually, before we did anything, if you have never cooked before, you need to wash your hands. Mine are clean. We're good to go. Anyway, first thing we're going to do is crack the eggs. And you want 5 eggs. If you want to make it a little lighter, a little more protein and less of the heavy calories in there, you can pop out a couple of the yolks. But the classic original recipe, which came from my grandmother, who was a vegan vegetarian back in the 70s when it wasn't even cool. She used to drive to the States to get fake meat in a can. And there's a clue for you. I'm actually in Canada, and that's why she used to drive to the States. I guess if she lived there, she would have just been able to go to the grocery store. Okay, so we have 5 eggs in our bowl. Then we want to add some cottage cheese. Not some, the whole container. So you will add the entire container of cottage cheese. And then you want to add your chopped green onions. You don't want to, we're not going to throw them in just like this. So let me get that out of the way for a second, and we'll get these green onions chopped. We could play some lovely music, or, you can just chop along with me, because it's super fast. We used to make this all the time when my son was little, and he used to swim. When you needed a fast dinner, I just whip this up, get it in the oven cooking. And usually I would throw in a couple. I've got some potatoes here. I'll show you, and some sweet potatoes that you can also add to this meal. It takes you like less than 15 minutes here to prep it. Pop it in the oven, and it can be cooking while you go pick up the kids, and then you're home and dinner's ready. All right, so we got the onions in there, and now, oh, you lucky dogs, you get to watch me grate cheese. So you can use the ready-made grated cheese if you want to, and for sure you can even use like Gouda or Parmesan cheese, but I think cheddar has the nicest tang with this recipe, that in my experience. Okay, so almost done. Okay, good enough. And then we put the cheese in. You don't even actually need salt in this because there's enough salt in the cheese, cheddar cheese and the cottage cheese. I'm just adding a little bit of pepper now. It's really just to how much you like. So if you don't like a lot of pepper, then don't put any. And now, just going to mix it up. I like to mix it up before I add the spinach because it gets a little messy trying to, gets a little messy when you're trying to stir it with big giant green leaves in there. You can chop the spinach, but it will cook while it's in the oven and it softens, so you don't even need to deal with that. It's like super fast. So, ta-da, done. So we'll just add the spinach, last step. And see what I mean? It's like easier to give it a first round stir before you add the spinach. And then you just really want to kind of mix it in there. Done, 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 done. And then just have a, you can see here that this is like just a regular casserole dish. If you don't have one of those, you can just use a metal cookie cake pan kind of thing. As long as it's about 2 inches deep. I am just giving it a quick spray coating with the non-stick ham, vegetable oil, whatever you want to do. You can use butter if you want, but we're trying to be quick here and make speedy dinner. Okay, so into the pan we go. Spread it around. And we are good to go. Step 1 complete. Now, if you want to do potatoes, because it's nice to have baked potatoes, you can either do the whole big baked potato and stab it with a fork, and make sure you stab it with a fork and put the holes up to bake them. Otherwise, I just use these little ready-made potatoes, and if they're too big, because they actually will cook faster if they're all consistent size, you just cut some of them a little bit smaller. These are pre-washed. I thought, you know, I find some of the videos annoying watching people grate cheese in a slow motion forever, so I didn't make you watch me wash vegetables, but you have to watch me cut a couple potatoes. There you go. Step 1. Then what you want to do is drizzle a little bit of olive oil. And regarding how many potatoes, the cottage cheese loaf, it makes probably enough for about 6 people. And then with the potatoes, you just kind of use a handful per person for measuring how many potatoes you need. And you just drizzle a little bit of olive oil. There is no magic formula, you know, 3 tablespoons, if you, depending on how many people you're cooking for. Okay, and then you just want to coat them with the olive oil. And then I like to add a little bit of onion powder, garlic powder, salt, of course, because potatoes need salt. Unless you're on a low salt diet, that's your choice. And if you want a little bit of pepper. And then if you want a little secret how to make it extra awesome, those little extra mild things, put some rosemary in. You can chop fresh rosemary or use ground powdered rosemary. I happen to have rosemary that came from my garden that I dried. So you don't want to put the whole dried leaves in like full size, so you can see I'm crunching them up a little bit. And they add awesome. You can actually also add some sweet potato to this if you want. Again, same with the sweet potato. You can, I have one here on the go. I'm just going to fork it in a couple of places, and then I can bake it along with this dinner, and then pretty much dinner's handled. You don't even need a salad. But actually, just for the sake of fancy today, I'm going to peel this and chop it into cubes and add it to this mix because it actually has a fabulous flavor too. So hang on. Okay, we're back. Potatoes peeled, big sweet potato. Again, for measuring how much you need per person, probably, you know, a good chunk about that size. What's that, 1 inch thick? It's hard to tell on camera, hey? Per person, probably plenty. So you can just gauge this for however many people you're trying to feed. And you want to make them similar in size to the little potatoes. So I am going to cut them up a little bit. And when you do this, if you notice that you don't have quite, they're not quite coated nicely with the oil and stuff, you can just add a little bit more oil. You'll see in a minute. I think we're good here though. Let's just get this all cut finished. And then we'll set. And you know, it's little things like adding the rosemary that takes your dinners to the next level. Instead of just plain old, same old. But I like to cook from scratch. Okay, we're out of room in the bowl, so these guys will get vetoed for the video. Maybe I'll add them later when they actually go in the oven. So you can see I'm just going to toss them with the same flavorings: onion powder, garlic powder, a little bit of fresh rosemary, olive oil, salt, pepper. That's all you need. And maybe I do want just a little bit more olive oil on there. All right, ready to go. Then you just put those in on your cookie sheet. And that's your fancy version of sweet potato and potatoes to go with your cottage cheese pie. So these are all going to go in the oven at this, and the cottage cheese pie here will go in the oven at 325 for about an hour. You want to cook them until obviously these are tender, so you can stab them with a fork to see if they're cooked. And then this will have a golden finish on it. We'll be back when we take it out of the oven. We're back. So this took about an hour and 10 minutes to cook. So if you got stuck in traffic, not a big deal. If you know you're going to be a bit longer, you can pre-program your oven, or you can always just, sometimes I just put it on 300 and it takes longer. It gives me flex room to get to the pool and back. Anyways, if you enjoyed this video and you want to cook some more tasty, quick, and easy dinners with me, and meals and treats and desserts, then please subscribe, and we'll see you on the next video. But before we go, I know you're waiting to see what it looks like. This is our beautiful dinner with the lovely roasted vegetables and the cottage cheese pie. And of course, I can't do a meal without a little bit of salad, because it just, look how much color it adds, and it gives you some minerals and vitamins too. Anyway, hope you enjoyed some jiggery cookery with me. See you again next time.